welcome back to Let Glory Shine. I'm your host, Martha Glory Kartaoui, and I'm so excited to be here for yet another episode of Let Glory Shine. Every week that I get to do this show, I am humbled, I am grateful, and I am privileged that people want to come on and share their stories, their overcomings, their testimonies. And I have a fabulous guest for you again today, and I can't wait to introduce you to him. I'm going to give a very short introduction and then I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about himself because his charisma, his energy, his light will do all the talking for me. So I'm excited to welcome him to the screen. His name is Jeff Perdue Adkins, and he is the founder of the Orange Dragonfly, and he calls himself the Freedom Jedi. Can't wait to hear more about that. I know parts of his story, but I can't wait for you to get to know my friend Jeff. Welcome, Jeff.
Oh my goodness, Martha, thank you so very much for allowing me to be on today. It's so nice to see you as always. I wish I was there giving you a big, huge hug.
I receive it. I receive it. I feel the exact same way. So, Jeff, I know you and I know a little bit about your story because we're in the same community, the Unleash You. And so I've gotten to know you and your story through that. But can you give my audience the Eggcorn version of your story?
Oh my goodness. So, I live in an RV, and that really came up. We talk a lot about the traumas and the things that happen. I was in a 7-year relationship. It was um, perfect at times and not so perfect at times. He was on drugs, and my mom came to live with us because she was very sick and I was her caregiver for about 5 years. But right at this one time, my ex decided that he needed to go. Um, the center, I was working with the Spiritual Life Center in Ferndale, and that community ended up closing. My mom got sicker for a minute. She progressed in her sickness, and the company that I started originally, which was trueawesome.com, had just never made it. Like it just never did anything. So after 5 years, I decided to close. And what that left was this big vacuum of what the am I going to do? And my spiritual leader, thank him, John, thank you. He just passed away this year also. Um, he said to me, "Did you take it to meditation?" At this point, I'd been teaching meditation for about 3 years, and like, no, I didn't. Like, want to flip people off, that whole thing. And I swear to you, just like you and I are sitting here talking, I heard, "Get in an RV and go." Now, this is back in 2015. People didn't, this was just brand new. This wasn't like it is now, and you hear it all the time. This is like, what? It took me 4 years to actually get into the RV. This is my fourth RV, fourth, I think. Um, and I live in it with my puppies. I get to travel, um, and I get to share a brand new operating system with everybody that I call the Freedom Systems. So it's just amazing what I get to do and how I get to impact people.
So you were a pioneer for your time, like living in the RV, like you said, especially during COVID. That started a lot. That started a
Mhm.
movement of people understanding that they could live on wheels and they could travel and they could have experiences and create communities and all of those things. That became really kind of like a mainstream ish during
Yeah,
COVID. But you were before that. You were pioneering this whole thing, right? So
yeah.
tell me about some of the experiences that you've gotten to have because you took a leap on yourself and you followed that intuition or God or the universe or energy, whatever it was for you. Tell me about some of those experiences you've gotten to have.
Oh my goodness. I so often I use a picture that has me eating a beignet, right? And I know I shared it with Martha. I don't know if she's going to use that one. It doesn't matter. It's on the back of my book, but that is the culmination of all the hard work
Mm.
because My mom, like I said, my mom progressed while she lived with me, and she got bad. And at a moment, I had to have a hard conversation. I had to say, "Mom, I mean, I understand both ways. I understand it all. I understand you're in a lot of pain. I understand what's happening. Are you living or dying?" And she said she wanted to live. And at the time, she was on all kinds of opioids and for her pain and all kinds of things. We changed her diet. We did all kinds of work. And about a year later, she was able to live on her own. But it came from me picking her up off the floor and like her soiling herself. And, it got extremely bad for about 6 months. Um, I, all the times when I said I couldn't do something, all the times I couldn't take that trip because I was working in corporate, all the times when I didn't have the money, I didn't have this, I couldn't do that, although I was working 80 hours a week. That's that moment. I'm eating this beignet in New Orleans where I said I wanted to go when I was 11 after reading Interview with Vampire. How many of you guys did that? You know, and it really just was a profound moment for me. And I realized I could take this picture. And in this picture, I'm actually crying. You guys can't see it in the picture. I've looked like multiple times. I'm like, can you actually see the tears in but I'm crying my eyes out. Um, and that whole time, I got to go to New Orleans. I got to go to, I was in Mississippi for a long time. I was in Tennessee for a while. I was in Florida. I spent a month on the beach in Texas. Y'all, there was nothing like it. You can't buy this kind of beachfront property. It's too close. So, I'm literally parked on the beach in Galveston, one of my favorite places in the world. It's one of the places I would think about moving to. It's just so beautiful. And I sat on the beach and just what I called my saltwater cleanse. I met some
Wow.
amazing people. You know, and I've been able to really just enjoy life again. And
Yeah.
that doesn't mean I don't work. I work.
Right.
I still do everything. But I'm privileged enough to be able to do that all from wherever I am.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the story about the beignet, and I had heard parts of it before. What it reminds me of is the beignet now has become an anchor for you, right? Like
Mhm.
whenever you see that picture, you're reminded of this choice that you made to dive into the sweetness of life, to be present, to take your life back, all those things. That anchor, that beignet, that picture is
Mhm.
always going to be your anchor. You will not be able to look at a beignet without being reminded of the sacrifices that you've made, but also the what you have embraced as you've made the decision to go on the road, and as you've taken your life back, which is the culmination of all of that, is what life is all about.
Yeah, yeah, I truly believe that. I truly believe we spend so much time in our lives sitting here saying, I can't do that. I can't do this. I can't do
Mm,
that and I call them the fatal F's of fallacy and family and fear. They show up all the time. And I can't do that. I've never done that. I can't do that. And who who said you can't do that?
yeah, yeah,
One of the things I talk about a lot is that there's unlimited possibilities in this in every moment. Right now, I can go and take off all my clothes, go running down the street, screaming la 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 la. La. Okay. Now,
it's a
w-
choice.
it's a
Yep,
choice, right?
yep,
It's a choice I can make. It's
yep.
probably not the best choice for my life, although it probably would feel really great right now. It's like that perfect temperature right now where we're like hovering around 75, running down the street completely naked, like I was 3, probably would feel really good. Okay. And I would probably get arrested and I would it had all those consequences. Every moment you have all kinds of choices.
Yeah, yeah,
And we forget that.
yeah,
We forget that we have choice. And we feel like we're stuck in this life that just doesn't work anymore and we're miserable
Yep.
People are stuck in relationships, they're stuck in jobs, they're stuck in just all around lives.
Yeah. And they're existing, not living, right? We
Correct.
both talk about this a lot. We have every moment's a choice. And when every moment is a choice, we get to decide like, are we just existing? Are we just floating through letting life happen to us? Or are we making choices that are indicative of what we want and what we are becoming and who we're becoming? And right, like that's what choice really means is are we just making choices that keep it here and just safe and just comfortable or uncomfortable, right? Because a lot of our
Mhm,
choices force us to be uncomfortable or comfortable, and we keep making the same choices that don't feed us, don't propel us, don't elevate us, don't change us, right? So those are all choices. But I want to go back to something you said because it's very, very powerful, and I want to emphasize that, and that is the I can't mentality, right?
yeah.
We will never become bigger, better, bolder than our I can'ts. So if you say I can't, da 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 da, I've never, da 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 da, I will never, da 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 da, you won't. That is plain and simple. You won't, you can't, you will not, right? Because we will never grow more than our I can'ts. We will never elevate more than I won'ts or I could
Mhm,
never's. It's not possible. It's all energy, right? And I talk about
right.
this, and my clients are like, I've never thought about that. I'm like, you are literally putting a cap on your potential, on your purpose, on your mission, on anything that could come from you when you say, I can't, or there's no way. Guess what? You will create the circumstances around you to make there be no way.
Mhm,
You got to change up the talk. You got to change up the way that you are speaking to yourself, about yourself, around yourself. Like it's so important. And I know that you understand that, and I know that you share that same sentiment. But like
mhm.
that I can't mentality will change your life when you decide I'm not going to speak this way about my potential, my mission, my vision, my habits, any of those things.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard get in an RV and go, I'm not an RV guy, okay? I'm pretty fabulous. I'm a karaoke king. I'm hitting the karaoke circuit. I really never even wanted a yard. Honestly, I wanted to always be in a nice apartment with a good balcony overlooking something in town, enjoying my life, with a little pad for my dog to pee on. Okay. That's what I want in my head. And then I was told, get an RV. I'm like, I'm taking care of my mom. I wasn't working from home at that point. I wasn't doing any of this. So, and then I started going, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Why can't I? And I gave myself the list, right? I gave myself the list why I can't. And then I started getting my list of why wouldn't I? What's holding me back? What are the barriers? And when we start talking about those barriers, then they start being like, oh, well, I don't have that kind of job. Okay, well, at the time, this is when people started actually working from home. Like right around this time is when this all started being possible, right? And I'm like, okay, how do I do that? What do I really want to do? And the spiritual life center closed, as I said. And I knew that I wanted to do something, and I knew I needed to be ordained. I knew I needed to study more. And I almost went to Unity Village. I was looking, um, and I found that I don't really believe what they believe. I was at the spiritual life center, which was technically a life. It was a Unity church. It really wasn't. It was very different, and it was very open about what we learned from. Very modern, very different, very welcoming. And what I found with most UD churches I've been to, it's some kind of metaphysical Christianity. It's like, okay, taking the Christ out of Christianity, it was, but you're still believing all the same things. And like, okay, so you take out that story, right? And I'm not saying if you believe in Christ, you're bad or wrong or anything. It's just not what I believe, right? And when I started actually looking, I was kind of, I kind of started chuckling because I found the Temple of Jedi Order, and they have a full seminary and a full thing, and it's a lot of, it's not just an online little certification. you had to go to school, you had to learn, you had to do this whole thing, and they and it was insane for me. But what I loved about it, there was no dogma. There was no one way I had to like. I have to believe this exact way, and this is how we practice, and this is what we do. And so you got to really start creating. Okay, what works for me? And we in our studies, in the seminary studies, we actually learned a whole bunch of things from a whole bunch of different religions, and like had to go and I have made a vow that I'm going to protect your right to believe what you want to believe. So it's just one of those things, and it's kind of cool. Don't get me wrong. I like being called a Jedi. And then I started, but years ago, I kind of started looking at Tantra, right? And I looked at it for all the same reasons why you can think about it, right? It's all about sex and it's all this and it's supposed to be so cool, right? And I realized it wasn't. And then I realized that really, when we're talking about this, we're talking about the same things. And we're talking about the energy centers, the, the macro and the micro, right? From the force to Kundalini, it really is those two spaces. So how do you move that for your body? How do you make that actually work for your everyday existence? Not just because, oh, it's cool. Not just because I want to go and get laid, and when you start actually moving energy and actually looking at this as the energy moving, life starts opening up. Things start opening. And I know that you do some Reiki and stuff like that. It's all on the same. Where are you? We're all pulling from the same power. Let's face it. It doesn't matter where you're pulling from. You're pulling from the energy centers of the earth and the universe. So call it what you want to call it. Find a way that works for you, and don't let anyone else tell you you're wrong.
Yeah, I I have gone through my own spiritual awakening and spiritual like journey trying to figure out exactly what I believe, right?
Mhm.
Growing up the way that I did, I had to unravel a lot of belief systems because, that's the way that I was brought up. And so I've had to question everything that I believed, and I have to decide what I'm going to keep, what I'm not going to keep, what new things that I've learned that fit better or resonate deeper, right? And so the point that you're trying to make, which I hear you, and is exactly how I see things as well, is that we are all part of the same thing called the human race. And all of us have a responsibility to our own journey and our own human experience to figure out what we believe and to own that, right? Not to allow somebody else to dictate that, not to like ask yourself the deep questions, ask yourself the hard question. Does this resonate in my heart, in my soul, in my gut? Does this resonate? Does this feel good? Or do I believe it because that's the way I was brought up, or because that somebody smart on TV said, or there was a preacher, right? Like asking ourselves these questions. So, yes, I believe in God. I believe in the creator. I believe that we're all from this human race, that we're all from the same place. But I also understand that it's important to be able to hold space for people that don't specifically align with the exact same things that I do. And I think that's what you're saying is like, there's room for all of us, because
Yeah.
until we pass over, like we're not, none of us can say, well, I was right, because nobody's come back and been like, hey, by the way, everything that I talked about, it's true, like I figured it out, I've come back to tell you. That's not how this whole human experience works.
Hmm.
And so being able to hold space and hold like that for each other, and understanding that what works for me may not work for you, may not work for the next person, but I have been intentional about really understanding my own faith and understanding why that personal relationship between me and God is so important. And
Hmm.
that's what I hear you saying as well.
Definitely, definitely, because it's so. What ends up happening is that we end up being in a default life, right? I call this the default life, and we go along. We don't question things. We kind of just react to everything. We don't really. Yes, you make some choices here and there. We have to. We're human, so you have to make some choices, but you don't ever question those choices again. You don't ever question why you know, why you picked that house. Okay, what you might love your house. I'm not saying that you don't love your house, right?
Yeah.
But okay, is this actually working for me? Why are you at the job? Why are you doing this? Do you believe that? And I have some beliefs I still have to question every so often, right? I have to
Yeah.
like I find something that pops up and I'm like, oh, where did that come from? Oh, why do I have that? I talked a couple years ago. There was someone that was in our mastermind, and he was always very nice and very sweet and very loving to me. But his message scared the crap out of me.
Mm.
It was very right wing. It was very not hateful, but just on the like if you were actually in the meeting, you probably would hear some things. You know what I mean? But everything was right there. Like right on that surface of
Yeah.
and he's always been wonderful to me. He's always a great person. And I had to look at my bias. Like, oh, wait, I have some bias here. What is
Mm.
it that what is it that this brings up for me? Where has
Yep.
it happened? I've been attacked. I have valid reasons for being afraid.
Yeah.
You know, I've had somebody spit in my face. I've had people like literally want to punch me. I've had all this happen. I had my boyfriend was punched and end up having to have surgery. I've had, so yes, I have some fears. Yes, I have some things that are valid, just as everyone does, you know. And he never did that to me.
Yeah.
It's not him. And I had to like really look. Okay, why is and it drove a wedge. And we're friends still, and it's been wonderful. When we start questioning those things, we stop actually allowing yourself to drift. So there's two kinds of flow, right? There's the fatal F flow, and that's the you just kind of drift along and you kind of, you make a decision here and there, you make a turn here and there, but really you're just going. You're just existing, and it's okay. I say all the time, you're perfect, whole, and complete just as you are. Stop. Full stop. There's nothing you have to do. I could sit on this couch for the rest of my days, never open up a computer, never open up anything, get up, go to the bathroom, and come back, and I'm still perfect, whole, and complete.
Yeah.
It wouldn't make me feel good, and I wouldn't be able to do it. And after about 48 hours, I would be absolutely insane. But I
Right.
could.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me any less,
Right. I get the point. I understand completely. Yes. I want to back up because again, gold, and I want to emphasize it. When you were sharing about that experience, when we don't question, why is this bringing this up for me? Why am I feeling like this is triggering me or this is making me feel uncomfortable or why? And they haven't done anything specifically against us, right?
Mhm,
It follows that whole ideology of, hurt people. And oftentimes we end up bleeding on people that didn't actually hurt us because of that trigger and that emotional, whatever it is that comes up. And we lose our minds or we lose our like ability to reason, and so
mhm,
we end up bleeding on somebody that didn't hurt us in the first place because it triggered us, right? So being able to step back and say, okay, what is this bringing up for me? Why is this making me feel this way? He hasn't crossed the line, he hasn't done anything to specifically hurt me, but what's coming up for me, right? I too have had many moments that, and oftentimes it's because it reminds me of somebody that did hurt me. It
mhm,
reminds me of something that has the emotional connection still of something I haven't let go of. And so it's a me thing. It's not a them thing,
mhm,
right? And so I just wanted that was so important for you to share because it does come up regardless of how much our healing journey that we've been on or how long we've been doing this or the practices that we have or the prayer or the meditation or whatever, right? We are still going to have to face people that make us feel uncomfortable, and we have
mhm,
to have the ability to check ourselves so that we don't act out of unresolved pain, healing, whatever it is, right? So I love that. I love that you brought that up. We have about 6 minutes left, and I want you to talk about what's coming up for you. That's exciting. I want you to show my audience. I want you to talk about it. I'm so proud of you. I know it took you 5 years to compile this. So please take this time to brag on yourself.
It's so hard. You know what? It's still hard for me to brag about myself. Like, I don't believe it's here. I've been it's been in the background for 5 years. Like, it's just this background thing I've been doing. This is the Freedom Systems devotional, and it is your daily odyssey for a life without drama and bullshit. All the stuff that we've been talking about, all these things that we programmed ourselves. We've been programmed. Full stop. One of the biggest things that was right there for me, as Martha was speaking, is we've been programmed to believe it's us against them
Yes.
every day. Every day. If you don't hear it, I promise you, look how many times, just how many, count, and kind of start making a joke. I made a joke. One day I saw it over 100 times. I heard something that was trying to pit me against somebody else or someone else against me. We're programmed. And what this book does is help you take out that programming or question the programming. You might not take it out. Maybe you like it. I don't know. It's not for me to decide, right? It's for you to decide what actually works for you, but at least pick it consciously.
Yes.
We become conscious creators of our lives, and it goes through each month has a different theme. September is all about setting it right. It's so much because it's my birthday next week. It comes out on my birthday on the 10th. And so what I always end up doing is I end up going and doing the life assessment, right? Don't we all? Right before our birthday, we do this, like, how was this year? What went well? What didn't go well? Sometimes I'm more loving to myself. Most of the time I'm not. Like, let's face it, I don't care how much work you've done. You still beat yourself up sometimes,
Yeah.
right? And what this does is it guides you through it gently. So I stopped. I'm like, I'm not doing that this year. I actually wrote this. I wrote something to actually do this. And every day there's, like, for instance, for today, let me find today. There's a napkin there. There's a little message, and the message is assessing alignment with your values, your energetic diagnostic. Okay, so we're gonna just look at, are your actions on what is missing aligned with your values? Like, what's coming up there? One of the things that comes up for me is that I still haven't done the brake lights, so I can leave. Right. So on this is a new trailer, and there's some things I had to do in order to get it on road. So had to think, well, okay, what value am I looking at? And the value I'm looking at is my family. I'm really concerned about my family right now. So I'm trying to be here a little bit longer. I didn't go where I was going this summer. You know, all these things kind of happened. So it just became this thing. And I realized that I'm not rushing out of here. And I'm not really, like, but I'm not doing the things to get it able to leave either. Right. So there's an awesome practice of the day. Like, today's is list 3 to 5 of your most important values, and then look at what it is that your integrity list that we did yesterday, how that correlates and why it's there, why is it a disconnect, why it takes your energy, because that's what happens when you're in a
Yeah.
disconnect.
Yeah.
Is that your energy, you feel tired, and you're like, there's no reason why I'm tired. Why am I this tired? Oh, because I'm, didn't do this, or I did that, or, and it's not aligned to my values. And then there's a mantra. So today's mantra is, my value guides me, my alignment creates my peace. There's the weekly mantra, which is, I face my reality with honesty, my awareness creates my alignment.
Mm.
There's a prompt to journal. Like, guys, you will definitely start realizing your life differently, right? And September is, like I said, it's all about setting it up. Next month we talk sex. We go into some Kundalini stuff, looking at triggers, looking at, with some of the things being so readily available, with porn being so readily available, and, you know, let's face it, for a lot of people, sex is readily available. It's an app away.
Yeah.
how do you control that? And how do you start like really seeing it differently and having it start feeding your life? Your relationships feed your life. And we do that through lock and optimum. We looked at in November, we talk about sex again. We're talking about it. What is it that you really like? What is it that really turns you on? What is it that you really want out of a relationship? Where does that fit in? And then we
Yeah.
go into December, which is all about being present through the holidays.
I love it. Love it. I feel like we could take a section of time for an episode per month as this rolls out. So unfortunately we're out of time, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on Let Glory Shine. I always end my episodes the same way by asking my guest, what does it mean to Jeff to let his glory shine?
Show up. One of the things that I've done my whole life, ever since someone threatened me to have me come out, is that I'm going to live my life openly and allow that life to speak to other people. They can
Mm,
judge me on my life. There's not a question you can ask me. I'm going to give you the answer. You probably don't want to know the answer most of the time, but I'll give it to you. And I'm not ashamed of anything.
I love it. Just
So,
show up. Y'all heard it
yep.
here. Thank you so much for coming on Let Glory Shine. And I can't wait to watch you just continue to blossom and bloom because you're just a ray of sunshine every time I get to see you. So big hugs until I get to see you in person. And thank you again for joining us for Let Glory Shine. We'll see you next Thursday, same place, same station.
Let glory shine from the ashes I rise. Every scar a story, every tear baptized. This is my freedom, this is my climb. Let glory shine, it's the power inside. This is your prosperity era, where dreams align with grace, abundance flows like rivers. You've stepped into your place. Rise, reign, and remember, you were born to shine. Welcome to your moment, Prospera, it's time.
We hope you enjoyed today's show on Prospera TV Network. Make it a point to visit us on YouTube and catch all your favorite shows anytime you want. Interested in hosting a show of your own? Or advertising your business on our network? Contact Elena Rodriguez.